5-5, which means I'm on the clock. Please go down and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. But man, let's start off. Number one, we're still on commitment watch. The streak has ended. John Calipari, we're always on Cal's clock, right? It's when he wants things to drop, how he wants things to land. Coming off a weekend visit by DJ Wagner, freshman last year at Kentucky, played for Cal. A guy that, I've been saying I think Arkansas is obviously going to be he'll be the eighth commitment for the Hogs, the Hoop Hogs. Well, we had 4 for 4 on Monday commitments, and you think coming out of this weekend visit with Wagner that you're probably going to see a commitment land. That did not happen. It has not happened. I don't think anything strange is going on there. Maybe he's going to visit Florida. Let's keep an eye on that. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe something happens today. I still think DJ Wagner, the 6'3" point guard, 10 points per game, nearly 3.5 assists, better than 2-to-1 assist ratio last year as a freshman. I still think he'll be a Hog in the end and be the eighth commitment / signee. So keep an eye on that. Let's see if Tuesday's the magic day. But we busted on Monday. That's over. That streak is over. It was 4 for 4. Going back, who was it? Big Z, Carter Knox, Adu, and then last week, obviously, it was Adu Thero on Monday commitments. 4 of the 7 coming on Mondays. We're past that now. Speaking of which, Arkansas I still think needs to add a power forward. I mentioned Casey and Pryor over the weekend. He puts out the soon emoji. Arkansas is thought to be heavily in the mix there. One thing I want to add to that is I do have a couple of sources that think it's really close to going from potentially a silent commit to a public one or maybe a visit. There were rumors yesterday that maybe he was on campus recently. Not sure about the truth to those or validity of those, but keep an eye on beyond a DJ Wagner getting an experienced point guard, but potentially reinforcing your front line with a 4 guy that can play on the floor with Big Z and Jonas Adu. Okay, moving right along, the SEC announced the matchups, not the playing dates, not television, all that'll come later, but the SEC league matchups. We know we're adding Oklahoma and Texas. Speaking of Texas, the Hogs will get the Longhorns twice next year, home and away, and then Arkansas's permanent. There were 3 permanent home and aways. I guess now they've drilled it down to 2 because you've added 2 more member schools going from 14 to 16. LSU and Missouri remain. Texas A&M's out of there. So it looks like Texas is the first team to be in a rotation with the new field, the Longhorns. And why wasn't it Kentucky? That's really the big news here. Why was it the Wildcats? As soon as I saw that reporting that Arkansas was going to play at Rupp Arena and only at Rupp Arena next year, I put out a complaint tweet. I basically went to complaining. And I think I've heard some other people in the media kind of talk about, man, the SEC's really missing the boat here. These are the 2 most storied programs in the league's history. Obviously, Kentucky at the top, Arkansas's next, but you've got the John Calipari to Arkansas dynamic. You've got Kentucky players playing at Arkansas. Why would you not double the pleasure, double the fun by making that a round robin next year, a home and away? It blows my mind. I think it's weird. I'm one of those people that being kind of watching what the SEC does in many of the big sports when it comes to its charter members, and then everybody else always kind of seems to me, for the most part, they kind of favor toward what maybe the charter members would like. Don't know if that was at play here or just blind stupidity. Either way, not a good look, not a good move in my opinion. We'll move on, but I will tell you this: Arkansas, I mentioned the home and away with Texas. That's interesting. That's going back to the old Southwest Conference days, obviously. Some matchups since then, LSU, Mizzou. So those are home and away. Arkansas will play at home, single games against Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. Then the other new member. Away games, Kentucky, Auburn, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vandy. Point number 3, Darius Acuff, the 2025 5-star 6'3" guard out of IMG Academy, put out photos yesterday from his weekend visit. What's interesting here is I didn't get to talk as much about him yesterday because I was running short on time. He has already visited Kansas. He's now visited the Don't know what other visits he may have planned because I haven't seen anything out there anywhere that what else might be coming up. He's got a who's list of schools after him. Keep an eye on him. The early November period's not that far away. How about John Calipari? Point number 4, associate head coach Kenny Payne and the Chicken Man John Tyson courtside last night. Dallas Mavericks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams, Daniel Gafford, those are your pro Hogs. Say Gilgeous-Alexander, a finalist for the MVP with Oklahoma City. Cason Wallace, a rookie for Oklahoma City. P.J. Washington, a starter for Dallas. All of those guys played for Cal at Kentucky, plus you had the pro Hogs, 6 players to watch. And I thought that was kind of interesting that Cal was there because we know with all the splashes that Eric Musselman made on going pro games and NBA games. It was well documented. Must like to get that stuff out there. In this series alone, you've had Mike Anderson courtside and seeing former players in Gafford and Isaiah Joe, and he recruited Jalen Williams, was gone before Must signed Jalen Williams. And now you've got John Calipari. So a former Hog head coach, a new Hog head coach, and his top assistant associated coach, Kenny Payne, out for just this series alone to see former Hogs and I guess former Wildcats. All right. And really the last point I want to make is recruiting. I think this is a little bit important. It's a quiet period. And so this week, coaches can be at the NBA Draft Combine. It's spilling into the weekend. They can then be at live eval events around the country. Otherwise, only players can come in to campus for visits. All right, second day in a row. I didn't make it 5-5. I made it a 5-6, but I did get there. Please go down and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's HogvilleNET YouTube Lives 5-5. We try to give you what's important. We are on commitment watch. Keep that in mind. But until the next time, we love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you then.